every single episode is going to be live.
Every town has a ghost story that's been passed down throughout the generations. But what if those legends are true? My job is to travel to these destinations, explore them, and figure out the mystery that lies within.
Hey everybody, happy Wednesday night. Here we are on episode 3 of Behind the Screams, and I'm so happy to be here. I appreciate you guys tuning in with us on a special night. I know that we've kind of had to shift things around just a little bit just because of everything that was going on with all of the different events and different stuff that's planned around spooky season. I know I'm extremely busy, and I know you are too. And so thank you for working me into your plans. That really means a lot. So we're going to talk a little bit about last night's episode. It was a longer episode than what we had done in any of the past 3 episodes here with season 8. But yeah, we'll kind of dissect that down, talk a little bit about it. I'm going to play some not seen footage that I did capture when I was investigating there at another time. But just to kind of recap real quick, episode 1, we were at Haunted Harriman Hospital, and it had a great investigation. Dr. Christy Sumner helped me out during that investigation. We had a lot of really cool activity. And of course, like we've said all season long, what a great place to start the investigation or to kick off the season with a location where life begins and life ends. So yeah, that was just absolutely perfect for that, as well as everything in between: healing, tragedy, what have you. And then moving into episode 2, last week we were there at Cleveland Metal Foundry. Different type of location. We did our Behind the Screams on that this past Monday, and I absolutely loved getting your feedback on that episode because honestly, it was a very strange one, and we still definitely have some questions. I'm actually taking things a step further on that one and getting some audio analyzed on that with the Scream. So stay tuned, because we will be continuing that discussion whenever I get that results in from several different audio engineers that I've reached out to. So, but that one was really different because we did some urbexing with that. We also did a investigation there. We had some interruptions physically and spiritually. So that one, again, that's one that's ongoing. If you missed that or any of the other episodes, I hope you'll go back and check it out. But judging by the people who are over here in the chat room, I know that a lot of you folks have tuned in all season. So thank you. Now, last night we were investigating a location. It was kind of an undisclosed location, but it was a home, and it was a family home for me, and or familial connection to me. And so essentially, where last week I went in blind to the location, this week you guys kind of went in blind on that one, because I knew I only gave you a little bit of history, but I didn't give a lot of details on who was there and at that location, or names or anything of that nature, for privacy reasons. But you went in blind or cold on that, and I think that I'm interested to get your feedback as to how that affects things. So we'll get to all that here in a few minutes. Just want to say hello to the folks over here in the chat room. Hello to Nancy Weems. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Miss Sonia Thompson from Let me just mute this so that this doesn't interrupt. Whoops, during the show there. There we go. Hello to Miss Sonia Thompson from The Walking Dead. Thank you for tuning in. Daryl Paulette from Bedford Paranormal in Clover Hill Village. I hope you're doing well and staying busy during this spooky season. I've enjoyed following along and seeing the different teams that have been there at your location. And of course, Sylvain, thank you so much for staying up late or getting up early, whatever the case may be, and tuning in on your show. It's always great to see you on here. And so, for anyone else that's in the chat room that has not said hi, hello, good evening, and thank you so much for tuning in. Now, so I'm interested to get your feedback on last night's episode because it was somewhere that was a little bit different in comparison to the activity that we've had this past season. It was a different kind of activity. So to kind of recap a little bit of the history that I can give you, I was at a family home, a home that I have a very, very close connection with. And the house was built in the 1930s, the early 1930s. And my family did not get the house until the 1960s. I don't know anything about the previous owners. I just know that it was a small cabin, and some things have been added onto it as far as a bathroom, and the back area was added on at that point. So I'm still kind of researching a little bit of the history, but it's been in my family since the 60s. And so, like I said, lots of family connection. There was a possibility of at least 7 people connected to that could have been in there. I have no idea on the earlier residents. I'm really looking forward to finding out a little more about that. But then also, and I know of at least two deaths there in the home. They were by natural causes, and I was, and those have been within. One was 22 years ago, and the other one was, I believe, 8 years ago. So so it's been a while on that, but we do know of those. There was no tragedies related to the house, at least not during the point in time that my family had it. So I don't know anything about that. All good, happy memories. And that was one of the things that I've talked to several of you who watched the show last night. And that was one of the things that was mentioned, was that the house actually had a very positive energy. It had a lot of love with it. To me, some of my happiest memories, other than this farmhouse here, that I have so many happy, fond, and wonderful memories with that home. So so yeah, I think that translates over. So it's actually nice and refreshing to investigate a location that that doesn't have any type of tragedy or negativity connected to it. That's just a really nice, refreshing feeling for me, because I've had the opportunity to investigate some of the most haunted places around the country, and some of the most active ones. And sometimes it's not all related to that. Now, over the past 2 seasons where we've been doing the live episodes, we've had some different locations that did not necessarily have tragedy or anything connected to it. And it just seems to be kind of a different activity. But even some of the more happier places we've investigated have had some different tragic events. So so it was really nice and refreshing. And I think that was reflected in some of the activity that we got. So hello to my cousin Amanda. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's always good to see you. I know we talked about the episode as well, and I really enjoyed your feedback, and I enjoyed you stopping by yesterday and kind of checking some things out and doing just sort of a prequel investigation there to the episode. And Nancy says it was nice. So thank you all. And thank you guys that tuned in there for also, um, uh, I'd said I wasn't going to say my connection to the home. And so I appreciate everyone that went in and help ask questions. It was a little harder for me to ask questions because I try to be very personable with the spirits that are in there and call them by name once I find out their name of who I'm talking to and go in with respect. So that was a challenge for me to essentially not really give away. I mean, obviously, some people may sort of have figured out where I was, or at least some of the familial connection. But it was different asking some of the questions and trying to do it in a discreet way. But I think with this, so again, you guys went in cold because you didn't really know any history. You didn't really know too much where I was at other than East Tennessee. And, you were asking questions to, one, try to dig in to see who we were talking to, and also to try to find out more information to see if the spirits would reveal that. Because I did say, if the spirits reveal who they are or reveal the connection, then I'm more than happy to confirm that. Now, I will go ahead and say we did get some responses on the spirit box because we just did the investigation last night. And this was actually a 3.5 hour investigation that we did. I've not gone through that evidence. I am getting ready to head to Hopkinsville, Kentucky tomorrow evening for a 3-day event there. And so I've been trying to get things tied up with or wrapped up with the museum. I've got a couple freelance projects, presentation I'm working on, as well as some different personal projects that I needed to wrap up and get taken care of before I have to leave tomorrow evening. So I've not had the opportunity to go through the evidence that we have, but we will follow up and maybe release a session on when I can go through and see if we were able to actually hear what was captured. Now, I did have a static camera up there, as well as an audio recorder, had that as well. I believe from what we talked about, the information that you guys were giving me, the feedback, the sound was a little better. So that's always good. I know Mr. Bob is not on tonight, but he sent me a microphone that I'm really interested to try to hopefully make things better. My phone is capturing Omni sound with the microphone, and so it tends to cancel out some of the finer sounds. But I'm glad that it was better last night. And so I did not have the plug when I was trying to connect the microphone. I didn't have the connector. Plus, I had to keep it plugged in so we didn't lose battery. So I don't have an extra plug on that to plug that in and plug it into battery. So we will try again next week on that audio and see if we can make that better. Let's see. Daryl says, I think a family home that has no real major events or tragedies involved in its history is or will be a little more slower on activity, and that makes it feel like a happier or peaceful place to investigate. That's a great theory on that, and I completely share those thoughts. I tend to believe, now this is just my personal opinion, and I'm interested to see what you all think. I believe that most places have some type of activity. You have those like the jail, like Clover Hill Village, like the Village of Rugby, Waverly Hills, all these different places. So you have places that they're known for their activity. It's just a constant everyday occurrence. Rugby is a good example of that. I mean, there we get activity, and there's some of these are homes, some were family homes, and so we get activity from different generations of families that lived in these homes, and that's kind of the same situation here. Henry River Mill Village over in Hickory, North Carolina. That's another really good example. Henry River Mill, when I investigated that with Christy for the first time, that was when we first met. We investigated that location. There was a series of houses, and each one had activity, and they were residual pieces of activity. It was like just daily life going on. I'm trying to think. There was a couple tragedies of fire and different things of that nature that that happened inside those several of the homes. I think there was like originally 19 homes in the mill there. But and of course, rugby had its tragedies and stuff. But for the most part, you've got the residual activity that seems to just kind of go along and go through. So I'm kind of a firm believer that you can have a home or a house if somebody's living in it and you're going about day-to-day activities, whether somebody died in the location or whether something tragic happened. I feel like every place has activity, but it doesn't always come out. Sometimes it takes a situation or a certain person to draw that activity out. Some people just seem to be very good, and I'm not talking about a seance or anything like that, but some people just seem to be good about drawing activity out in different locations. And so I think, an example that I give of that would be, a, a happy home. If somebody does the same thing every single day after they get off work, they come in and they go and they sit down in their favorite chair and watch TV. And that's their happy place. And they're sitting there, they're depositing energy into that act of sitting there in that chair. And so after they pass, if that person's favorite chair is still sitting there, or say grandpa comes in and one of his favorite things to do is sit in his favorite chair on the porch, telling stories, drinking his coffee, spending time out there, there's going to be energy deposited in that area. And at times, as residual activity, I think that that's going to show itself, or a specific person that either has a connection with that person or is good at drawing that activity out. I think they'll draw it out. So I don't believe there has to necessarily be a death or a tragic activity happening. Now, look on the reverse side of that. You have an unhappy home that's full of constant fighting and arguing and just negativity, yelling. And I think that that activity is absorbed into the walls and is absorbed into the place and can cause essentially a negative feeling. We've all walked into different places and been able to feel the vibe of, I don't know what it is, but something just doesn't feel happy or feel right about this place. And so I think that sometimes you can pick that up, and I think you may get some residual activity, or it may affect you in a way to where you just feel like it's just a bad place to be. So like Daryl said in his comment, I do believe that places like that where no real major events or anything happen, when it's just constant everyday daily life, regardless of death or tragedy, I do believe that most places do have activity in it. And I also think a lot of the time we're just, not everybody is open to it, or not everybody is accepting of it. And not everybody pays attention. We're all really busy and with the day-to-day life. I think that that's why when the pandemic happened, I think that that's why a lot of people started experiencing activity in their homes, They were home more. Things slowed down. So people weren't just getting up, getting ready, going to work. They didn't get lost in the loudness of being busy. They were there, so things were quieter. So, I mean, there's other reasons why I think the activity was heightened, but I believe that that was one of the reasons. And so, I think that that can be picked up, and I think that's an interesting experiment to try at some of these locations, and that was why I was really interested in doing that location. I was really excited about doing last night's location for multiple reasons. One, because I do have a familial connection to that, and two, because there wasn't anything significant. I can't really tell you of anything paranormal that I remember. I guess if I sat and really thought about it, maybe, um, I'm sure over the years there's been unexplained things that have happened down there to me, but, or to any of the family members that were in there. But I can't there's nothing significant that stands out. And so sometimes those places are really fun to do to see if you're looking for it, that's a lot different than when you're sitting and it just happens or it finds you. And so I was really interested to see after some of the I mean, I work in a very haunted space, and we experience stuff on a daily basis. So it's interesting. I mean, even here at my house, um, I have experienced things before, and the contractor that I had experienced some things in here when he was remodeling the house. But this place, the house we did last night was nothing like the other, but there was actually some things that did happen that you guys picked up on, and like I said, I got some good feedback on. Looking over here in the comment section, just want to say hi to Dee Dee. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You asked some great questions last night, so I appreciate that. Nancy, I get that heavy, absolutely. When a place, when a place has that heavy feel to it, most people can pick up on that, whether they're sensitive or not. A lot of the time, you can pick up on a location that has a heavy vibe to it. And she says, I think you needed it. I definitely did need a quieter investigation after experiencing, Harriman Hospital has a reputation to it, and that activity was just too freaking cool that we had that first night, and it was creepy being in such a large scale building. But the week before, that one was just weird on so many levels, and very creepy. So it was nice to have such a small location. Being a solo investigator, and or having one other person with me, the really large investigations are a challenge. Now, if you got a full night there, that's fine. You can investigate, step away, regroup, go investigate a certain area. Um, that's that's easy enough. But on a live, when you only have 2 to 3 hours, last night we went 3.5. Um, Doing that, it is a challenge. But such a smaller place, it's great because you can kind of set up and be set up and give your chances give excuse me give yourself a chance to get settled. And I think that's really important in any of these locations. Um, a lot of the time, if I go and if I'm in a hurry, I hate going into an investigation late, and I hate going into it in a hurry just for that particular reason, because I'm the type, I do better if I'm go in more calm, not anxious, and am able to set up, give things a chance to kind of settle and level out. But that's just me. Um, Hello, Beth Allen. Thank you so much for tuning in here. Got to talk to Beth a little bit earlier today, and it's always a good day when I get to talk to Beth Allen there from Octagon Hall. Um, so yeah, so last night was refreshing, very much needed. Being a smaller location, a calming location, and a familiar location. So it was a good break. And I got to say, the numbers on the people who were watching, we had high numbers all night last night, and we also had um, great questions. The retention rate, I mean, most people, except for the fact that, it's in the middle of the week and a lot of people have to go to bed early for work. um, we had people that got on in the beginning and stayed on the whole time. So I definitely appreciate everyone that did that, because that actually made last night's investigation really cool. And so it is always a risk when you go on to do these live investigations, because um, obviously I want to do so. I want to do an investigation in a location that is interesting to everyone and that maybe is a little bit different, that maybe we haven't investigated on a everyday basis. um, I like to be able to do that. And I like to do ones, I love to promote locations. So whether it be a museum or be a store like we did last season, that's always been a lot of fun to get awareness out there, um, and do it by doing investigations there through the paranormal. So this season is a little bit different because it's more about um, just kind of testing some things, trying some new techniques, some new equipment, and that sort of thing. But that was sort of different, because all of these for the next, so from last night on, for the next two investigations, I will not be revealing the location, for those reasons, because one, they're not somewhere that I can really promote at this time. So I was lucky to be able to get to do that with Harriman, and then with the last location there. So yeah, little bit different, being able to do that. Now, just looking again at the comments here. Beth says last night was great. You gave people a chance to see what investigating is really like. And that's a very good point, because, it, especially when it's juxtaposed to the week before, when it was more high intensity, high energy. And I think that fed some of the activity, was the fact that we were so heightened emotionally, and we were already nervous going in because of the type of location that it was. But last night, it really did show that investigating is really like fishing. I mean, you cast your line out, it may be a good day and things are biting, but it may also be a day when you catch a couple small fish, but those small fish, they do add up and they are significant, or they can become significant when they add up. And that's kind of how I feel like last night was. It was, again, with doing the lives, it's risky, because you don't know, and you don't know if people's attention is, if they're going to be like, nothing's happening. But to me, that says a lot about you all there in the chat room that watched. I mean, the questions that was being asked, the engagement, it just goes to show that we were on to something last night with asking, with the type of activity that we were having. It wasn't boring, and even though there wasn't anything crazy or dramatic, there were some pretty cool things that did happen. I think it also kind of told a lot. Nancy says absolutely settled and calm. That is definitely true. And thank you, Beth. I do appreciate that. And Daryl says, I like going to larger locations, but like in my case, I have a smaller jail, and the amount of evidence that is caught in that small place makes it that more exciting. I couldn't agree more. For me personally, I find the smaller locations to actually be a little creepier because I don't know if it's because you're just kind of contained in there versus, you know, uh, how it is as a massive location. I don't know, because I guess it's kind of like being in a city versus being in a small town. In a small town, you know everything that's going on, but in a city, something happening right here, it will consume you, and whatever's happening over here can be happening, and you don't know it. You may not even see it or get to it because it's so big. And that's kind of how I feel about some of the bigger locations. I love investigating the larger ones. I don't as much like investigating them on the live because I feel like it's a little harder to plan if I only have a limited amount of time. But if I'm going to be live all night long, then I'll do a bigger location just because I can break my live up into multiple lives throughout the night. But I agree, some of these small places, they pack a big paranormal punch. They're just small in size, but not in activity when it comes to these. And I think that sometimes, because we get it all the time at the jail, people will say, "Oh, well, it's smaller than I thought it would be," but it's like, just wait. It'll take you all night to cover it if you just take the time and get settled and just investigate in a calm, relaxing type of way. Beth says, too much running from place to place in a large location. Sometimes you miss stuff. Larger locations need more time, I feel. I agree because so many times, I mean, even rugby is kind of that way. When people spend time, you get 5 different buildings that you can investigate. Some of them are small buildings, but hey, if the activity is going and going strong, you hate to leave just to make sure you can hit another spot. But I completely agree with that. Some of the larger ones, you really do need more time because I feel like really getting to know the location is important for me as an investigator. Nancy says, I think the evidence last night will surprise you. That's a really good point as well. And that's actually been, I've talked to 4 different people today that watched the episode last night, and they all said the same thing. And that's what Tiffany was telling me last night was, she's like, I think when you go back and watch, you're going to be surprised. And so there's several theories that I have as to why the activity was the way it was. One of them, my family that lived in that house was, they were a private family. I mean, they were private. It was also late, if people were truly alive and living there, they would have been in bed at that time. And then too, none of them are trapped spirits or anything of that nature either. So it's not like there's trapped activity down there just waiting with unfinished business or anything like that. But I have investigated there a couple times during the day. And so I'm going to show you a couple videos here in a few minutes of something that was captured while I was down there working. And so first off, I do want to, I want to thank my friend Tiffany for showing up last night. So I started the investigation completely solo. Only person on the property, period, except for our dog, and he did make an appearance a couple times, but or out in the yard there. But So I was completely alone for the first hour and a half. And I wanted to see if that changed things. Also, my cousin did come up and she showed up probably about 30 minutes before the investigation, asked a few questions, saw a little bit of activity while she was down there, which was just so cool. So, Amanda, if you're still on there, thank you for showing up last night. Um, and then Tiffany showed up about 9:30 and 9:45, something like that. And the plan was I wanted to see, is that going to change the activity? What is it like when I'm there by myself? And of course, that could be said for anywhere, whether there's a connection or not. When you're by yourself, your own energy is really going to affect that. And we've shown that in some of the other investigations, like Nickerson Sneed, where I investigated that with Jake Fife and then went back and did a solo. The activity of the people you're with does indeed influence the activity around. So it was kind of neat when Tiffany showed up, and a little bit changed. A little bit of the dynamic did change there. Let's see here. D Hoot says, last night the number 80 came up. I was wondering if anyone who passed there was 80 years old. Not not in my family. One there was some close to 80, very close to 80. One would have been 95 and another was close to 80. Actually, and then others connected to the house that did not pass there, but passed elsewhere, but was connected to the house. Nobody was 80, but that is a good point. We did make note of that 80 came up a lot, and it came up several times. And then 9 and September, July, some of those, and ironically, one of the people who passed away 22 years ago today, inside that home. So, and that was not planned. That was just kind of ironic. Let's see. Nancy says they were feeding off your privacy. Yeah, yeah, it does. It does seem that way, actually. I think that they were trying to challenge me to make sure that I didn't. And again, there could have been activity. Any activity we got could have also been related to the people who lived there before. And then Amanda's, thank you. I'm really glad to hear that. It was really, really cool and really special. Let's see here. And then Daryl says, so glad to see Tiffany helping you more. Y'all make a great team. I completely agree. There's nobody I enjoy investigating with more than Tiffany. We have found ourselves in some really interesting and really scary situations. I like investigating some of the dark hauntings and some of the dark claims, and she's one. She and Josh are ones that I really like investigating, different locations like that with, as well as ones that. And I'm not saying, when I say darker, heavier, not demonic, nothing like that, but just some of the ones that kind of have a heavier feel to them. Because they're both really creative. Tiffany is extremely creative, and she's really good at coming up with different things to try. I mean, bless her heart, last night she actually sang on my live and played her guitar, and that was just, I love that. You know, she's one of those people that's like, if there's an experiment to try, we put our heads together and try to come up with some interesting things to try to bring out activities. So I'm so glad that she is feeling healthy and up to helping me on my stuff. So, and then D Hoot says, does Tiffany have a channel or podcast? At this time, she doesn't. She's got some projects that she's worked on. She's had some health issues that has not allowed her to be able to really devote the time that she needs to it. But I need to have her on my podcast more because I know that she's just so much fun to bounce things off of. But all right, so I'm going to go ahead and get to one of the videos. So, so my friend Sonia was helping me out. I've been doing some work down there at that house, and so I knew I was going to be doing this live, and so on two particular, or well, one particular occasion when I was down there working, my friend Sonia came into town and was graciously helping me with some work down there. And so I thought, well, why not go in and set up some equipment and see if anything happens, especially when I'm in there doing a little bit of construction and a little bit of work on the home. And so so she was in town, and we had been working at this point. We set up the equipment and kept it very simple because you know me, I've talked about this multiple times that when I do newer locations, I like to use the flashlights because they're very easy. Cat balls, so flashlights, cat balls, and I had the APL, which we'll talk just a little bit about in a few minutes. Well, actually, I'll go ahead and talk about it right now. This is a new tool that I'm using this season, and if you like the EDI box, then this is, or EDI or EDI Plus. This device is one that I really like. I don't know that you can really see the screen there. Okay, yeah. So it's got the temperature in real time. It's got the pressure, and of course, it's got the battery that's about to go, and it's also got humidity, and then I forget what this is. I believe that's some type of infrared that it picks up on. I can't remember what that one is. I need to look at my numbers, but it's got an alarm to it, and so again, it'll alarm with a temperature change if you turn it on. It will alarm with a pressure change. I don't know why that one's not making a sound. It will also alarm when it comes, maybe because of the battery, when there is a pressure change on that. And then, whatever this third one is, this one is neat. This is like the geofoam that is in the, I'm trying to do all this backwards here. This is like the geofoam that's on the EDI Plus. And so if you can hear the alarm on it, when it has to physically be touched to do that. And then everything is backwards there. And then this one is really neat. So this one it's got a motion detector, 360 motion detector here. When something moves in behind it there, it will alarm. And so, so really neat device, and everything is logged. So if there is a sharp spike in temperature, a pressure change, humidity, if any of these alarms go off, or if and I like how this actually has the waves on it for both of them. And so if anything significant happens on that, is actually got an internal data logger, and you can plug it in and you can match it up. So this is good to keep with you, just like the EDI Plus box. If I'm using the flashlights and there's a significant temperature or pressure change, I can correlate the time with the data information and go in and say, okay, we had significant pressure change. We caught these voices, and it was at this time, and there was these significant atmospheric changes. So, so I've been using that this season. Last night was the first night that I used it. I believe I might have deployed this at Harriman Hospital, but I'm not sure. I did not get it out at the foundry. But on this particular day that I was investigating at the house, this actually went off, which was pretty cool. This is the only time I've ever had it go off, and that was at the house that I did last night on a daytime investigation there. So, but I'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. I do want to pull up one of the videos. And so we've been working there all day. I think this was like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And this was what we caught. So go ahead and get this pulled up here. Got to upload the video. Okay. I thought this was pretty cool. Overlook, I'm just going to go ahead and put this out there. Overlook the way I look because I was literally cutting bushes. Sonia was putting a tarp on the roof. I mean, there was a lot of work that was being done. So I look rough. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that out there.
Can you turn that off? Can you turn that off for me?
Now, just real quick. So there are 3 flashlights sitting there. There is one to the right on the arm of the couch that's covered in pink there. There is one on the table, and that one is on. And then over to the left where I'm sitting on the arm of that couch, there is a flashlight sitting on the arm of that couch. The flashlight there on the table that had turned on. And so this video has been snipped. It had turned on. And yeah, well, I'll just acknowledge that, Sonia. I feel you. We both looked pretty rough. So anyways, so this video had been cut down. We'd just been asking some questions. And it's interesting because the flashlight that's on the table, it turned on and it stayed on and it was responding by getting brighter and dimmer as I answered the question or I asked the questions. So let me go ahead and start that. And here we go.
Can you turn that off? Can you turn that off for me? Maybe on the count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are you trying to turn that other light on? I'll write on it directly on the 5.
Sure did. So I got it.
All right, thank you. All right. That was really cool that you were able to move that. Now, I know this is really.
I'm just going to play that again one more time, in case you missed it. The flashlight that was over on the arm of the chair, instead of them turning the light off like I had asked, it was like they were trying to turn the other light on. So, and instead, the light actually falls off or I think it was kind of pushed off the couch on the count of 5 in a direct response. So here we go.
Can you turn that off? Can you turn that off for me? Maybe on the count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are you trying to turn that other light on? I'll write on it directly on the 5.
Sure did. So I got it.
All right, thank you. All right.
So I thought that was kind of neat and intelligent, just where it fell at the right on the direct count. I don't know if that was intentional or if that was one of those things where they were just trying to turn it on the count of 5, and it ended up falling off the couch. But I thought it was kind of neat. Beth says it looked like it was pushed. Thought I was losing it for a minute. No, that's what I thought. I thought it looked like it was touched. And Sonia says it was really cool seeing it in person. Yeah, that was. I'm just glad we were able to get it captured. And so, and it really was an impromptu thing. I had just said when we were going to that house, I said, I'm just going to take a few simple tools. We'll see if anything happens. And so the next video I'm going to show is kind of neat because so what we had done is we were taking a break, and so we had asked a few questions, and then we were taking a break and going to go grab something to eat. And so we weren't getting anything other than that one flashlight turning on at that time. And so as we get up to leave, this was the only time this happened. So let me pull this up again. Overlook how rough I look on that. Okay, so I'm only going to play just the first little bit. So we had just, at this point, we were leaving to go grab something.
Wind blowing it. I'm like, Buddy, you can't come in. You might ought to.
Well, I mean, I don't really care if he goes in. I just don't want him getting in like the asbestos. I mean, we should be back. Before anything. You can hear the car dinging. I'm just going to rewind that just a little bit. Well, I mean, I don't really. So we get up. And we were, so you hear the car door, and then you'll hear a dinging of the car. There's the dinging. So, whoops, StreamYard in their crazy ways. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know how all y'all look, but I'm sure you look beautiful. I know you're beautiful on the inside, at least. If even if you look as rough as I do, sometimes on the outside. And let's see. Daryl says that was an awesome catch. Definitely pushed. Cool on the flashlight. And it was a fast movement, and it hadn't fallen any of the other times. And it didn't fall after that again. So, let's see. And then on the cat ball, I thought that was kind of neat. We use cat balls a lot at the jail, and we've had a lot of people that have had great success with it. But the cat ball is not something that I usually have a lot of activity with at different locations. So I'm always really excited when they do start to go off, because especially on response. So what it seemed like on this particular day was it did seem as though they were trying to interact and kind of play with the equipment. I am going to pull this back up real quick, and I'm just going to actually scroll through just to kind of show you while we were gone. So we went, we grabbed lunch, and then we brought it back, and we actually sat on the porch and ate because really bad thunderstorm did come up. And so what was kind of crazy is Sonia just left her phone there to record, and it did not record the entire time that we were gone and while we were eating. Well, actually, it did. It recorded the whole time that we were, or most of the time that we were gone. And then, because we were probably only gone about 15 minutes to get the food and come back. And I actually had a really cool session once I got back, but her phone would not, it just kept saying full, and it would not record. And so it didn't capture some of the interesting responses. I had some intelligent obelisk responses. I actually got a name of one of the family members there, which was really, really interesting and really cool. So that was the only name I got, and it was one of the family members' names. And I also, I've never had it just go on and on and on. It's almost like it got a burst of energy and was just spitting some of the words out. And that was when this went off. And that was really neat because there was nothing sitting behind it. I had it sitting on the table. There was nothing sitting behind it. You saw where I was sitting in the chair. And it actually detected movement, which was the only time I've ever had this go off. So, but I'm going to add this on here, and I'm just going to fast forward, kind of pull it across here so you can see. This is just sort of a time lapse. Whoops. Let me see if I can pull it from here easier. So that's 3 minutes in. Flashlight comes on at 3:26. Stays on. Oh, something. See here. I had come back in. Flashlight just stayed on. No more cuts off. And then comes back on again. And again, we're not there. It's just running at that point. But we got no more cat ball activity at that time on the time lapse. But that one flashlight did come on there. Now you can see it got darker. So a storm was rolling up. And I'm just going to open this other video. Let me find it here. Oh, you know what? I don't know that I have that. I'll have to, whoops, maybe this is it. Let me see. Yeah, so this is it. Sorry, I just didn't have it labeled. So this is after we had gotten back and we were sitting on the porch eating. We just continued to keep this running. You can kind of hear the sound. You can hear us kind of talking out there a little bit. You can also hear the rain. And so as we let this run, I'm just going to kind of go through it, and you'll see we actually had a couple other flashlights turn on at that point. We had the one that was knocked off. It turned on, and of course it's kind of, there's the thunder. And as it's thundering, The flashlight there was flashing. Now, it's kind of interesting as Sonia and I were listening to this. Um, correct me if I'm wrong, Sonia, but wasn't this about a 17 or 25 minutes, something like that? I can't remember if it was. So, let's see if this one says. This one may have been about a 25-minute video, and we actually heard what sounded like two disembodied voices, or not disembodied voices, but voices on there. We never could pick it. 29 minutes. Okay. She says that it was 29 minutes. We never, when we went back to listen to it, we heard it when we were initially listening to it, but when it was clipped and we were pulling it, we never could find the voices that we heard, but it sounded like a male voice, and one of them, it sounded like he was talking. So I'm going to so flashlights flashing, getting brighter, dimmer. So when this one, it seemed like when this one turned off, the other one ends up, it's just as soon as that one goes dim, that other one turns on. It kind of reminded me of a conversation. Just as one person finishes talking, the other one turns on, it's kind of flashing. And during that time, we had activity from all three lights. Now, again, I didn't have any recording as far as recorded questions or anything like that going on, which would have been great to do. But I just, again, this was just kind of an impromptu thing. Sonia says it sounded like a man and music. That's right. It did sound like music. So I'm going to fast forward just a little bit more. Oops. I had the flashlight kicked on and then off. And I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if it was corresponding with anything we were saying outside. There's that light. This light coming on as soon as that one turned off. And if I'm not mistaken, the one over on the arm of the couch turns on. And what's fascinating, so we were sitting there recording, me asking, so there's that one. And of course, it's raining really hard out there now at this point. And then let's see, maybe it's not on this video that the one on the far arm turned on. I thought it did, but at one point, as we were talking, let's see. Okay, it may not have come on this one, but at one point, and then that's when we came in the room. Now, at one point when I was asking questions, all three flashlights came on in response and I was calling out specific names. When I called several different family members' names that are still alive today, that are connected to different family members, some of them lit up, and then at one point, all three lights were going at one time. Sonia brought up an interesting point. It did kind of seem like when we were talking, and then that the middle flashlight, it turned on. It was almost like it had formed a connection, or a connection was made, and it didn't want to turn the flashlight off. It seemed like it just wanted to keep the light on to keep the connection, and it would just dim or brighten. And I so wish that I had been able to capture that on recording there, because again, several things did happen. But again, we've kind of talked about this, and Tiffany hit the nail on the head when she said, sometimes things that that aren't captured on a recorder or on a camera, when it happens, it just means that that is something special for you and not for everyone else. And so that's just how it goes. It's just a true personal experience at that point. Um, so even though it didn't capture it, to me, I thought that that was kind of significant, um, because just different things that happen there. And I think that that's kind of telling too, when it happened then, and then when it didn't happen while we were doing the live. And there again, there's multiple reasons why that could be. Um, do I think that that house is haunted? No, I don't. But again, is there activity and such associated with it? Sure. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I think that most places have some form of activity associated with it, even in the most um, calm and newer builds, that sort of thing. Sonia says it didn't want to let go or lose its connection with you. It was amazing. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt that. That was a really good point that you brought up that day. And then D Hoot says, I think the furniture being gone played into it somehow. That's very possible. Very, very possible. The living room there, that is a place where um, obviously people would gather. We would fill the room up, and that's where conversation and stuff would happen. I think that is quite possible, and I was really interested to see if that would happen. I also think the storm that came up that day could have played a part in that. We see it all the time at the jail. Every time that there is significant rain, or if there's a weather event like storm, snow, what have you, but mostly storms, that tends to increase and heighten and charge the activity there at the jail. So that could explain why the activity happened when it did, because the day we were there during the day, it was a gorgeous, gorgeous day. And then all of a sudden, boom, I don't even think that we were expecting the weather to change, and it got dark quick, and it came a real gully washer. So, um, that I think that could have played into it as well. We were already here a little bit after 10 p.m. Eastern time. I do just want to mention a few of the things that happened last night, and then we will wrap this up. So if anyone has any questions or comments about last night, feel free to get those in the next few minutes. I do have to wrap my live up a little earlier than I have the last Behind the Screams, just because of getting a few more things done before having to travel. But I do want to mention, so yeah, so it seemed like last night a lot of things that did happen. The only hit that I had on the tripwire was when I was outside sitting on the porch, and I don't know if my inside camera caught it, but it was when Mr. Bob was asking about haints, and I was explaining that. As soon as he asked the question, the light lit up on the inside. That's one of the few times, there's been a couple times, but one of the few times that the tripwire has just been just dead silent. And again, that's kind of telling to me. I'm glad it doesn't go off all the time. But for it to only have one hit, that was pretty significant to me. We did get flashlight activity. I had, let's see, flashlights sitting where both couches would be. I had one sitting in the dining room, and then one on back in the kitchen beside of one of the significant bedrooms, or the homeowner's bedroom. And so I had very, very little flashlight activity. We had several intelligent responses before the live, but then we did get a couple hits. We got a hit when Tiffany came. We got a hit when my cousin was there. And we got a hit when we were talking about the Frigidaire or the refrig in there. We got a hit when we were talking about that. I'm trying to remember. There was one or two others, but those were the ones we got significant hits on when we were asking questions. Yes, Sonia, that's correct. We did get one more hit on the tripwire, and that was when we opened the banjo, and I sat there and I just kind of ran my fingers across the strings. We did get a few. We had one other one, and it just seemed like it sat there and it just like quivered, kind of twinkled and quivered. So that was really interesting. I had several different trigger items there. One being the banjo, the other a can of snuff. We had that sitting there, and I thought for sure that the snuff would cause some activity, but it didn't. At least didn't cause any visible activity. My sister popped on and asked a couple questions. She was not in the vicinity, but she did pop on and ask a few questions. And I thought, sure, if one of those particular people were there, that they would have responded directly to a couple of those things she mentioned. We didn't get any hits off of any of those. Again, it'll be interesting to listen to the audio. Daryl asks, did you get any of your recorders or cameras catch the door handle? I don't know. I have not gone back and listened. That was the other thing I was going to mention, because people did hear that. So the house is a really small house. It's only probably 38, 40 feet in length, because the 36-foot tripwire pretty well stretched the entire length of the house from one end to the other. In the kitchen, the door handle on the kitchen porch, it jiggled, and so several people did hear that. It happened twice, and I'll mention what's crazy about it is the door was not locked. I had the door beside me open, and the door on that side, it was unlocked. But the main door was open. You could see the screen door there. And so I need to go back, listen to that and see. I'm hoping that it did catch that. I tried to download this episode because it's easier for me to play it, download it from StreamYard and upload it on here rather than try to play it over YouTube, because there's a lag, and it's just easier that way. And so as I was downloading, it was a 3.5 hour video, and it was also like 7 point something gig. It was taking it too long to download. There was still a little bit of time left before we went live tonight for it to finish downloading. So I just decided to cancel the download. We'll double check that and we'll talk about that. But people did hear it in the moment. That is a good good question there, Daryl. Kind of freaked me out a little bit because, again, the door wasn't locked. So if there was someone on the porch and they jiggled the door handle, I did not see or hear anyone on the porch, and I would have if there had been someone on there. And they certainly didn't open the door, which you would think if somebody was going to try to come in with it not being locked, that they would open it. So could have been something paranormal. Also, the cane that fell and hit whenever when Tiffany, while we were standing there, it was propped up against the wall, and it literally came out of the wall. I don't know how it would fall that way. I would think it would fall either left or right instead of falling forward and hitting me, which was interesting. One thing I didn't mention when we were moving stuff around, after I went into one of the bedrooms there, I was moving stuff from the kitchen to the bedroom. When I was working with Sonia, something grabbed the back of my shirt or the back of the outfit that I was wearing. I think at that point we had protective gear on or something at that time. And something kept grabbing like my back. And when I left that bedroom and pulled my clothes back, which was interesting and kind of goes along with the cane falling. But that was on that other day. Let's see. Trying to think if I missed anything. We did get some interesting responses on the Ovilus last night. Mentioned a few of those earlier with 80. We did get the name Mike. I'm not really sure how. I don't know a Mike that doesn't go with anything. But again, there were other people that lived there before my family. We got the word or the name Grace. That is significant for my cousin. It's interesting in the sense because that's her daughter's middle name, and so whenever she introduced her daughter when she walked in, she introduced her as her first name and middle name, and so that's kind of interesting that did come up as far as with Grace. And let's see. No cat ball activity last night. Again, we did get some responses on the spirit box, and then it was a kind of a cool dowsing rod session. A few responses to that, but I gotta say, by the time I was doing the dowsing rods, I was absolutely drained, and I think I was affecting the energy at that point, just almost painfully drained. So yeah, it was I thought a fun investigation and interesting to say the least. I look forward to going through the audio and the camera footage to see, because I think you're right. I think that there may be some things that we captured that didn't show up on there. I also, I think there's probably some people, family wise, that's probably glad that I may not have captured anything of significance on there. But for me, everything, regardless of how big or small it is a significant capture, and just leads us a step forward to what we're trying to accomplish with doing some of these different experiments and different tests to see how and why and what type of activity we get. So it was cool, and I think it was much needed. I don't think that it would not have been a good place to have caught anything extreme or dramatic. I don't think that would have it wouldn't have fit for me. So I think that was really good. Hey James, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Yeah, so unless anyone else has anything else to add that maybe I've forgotten, I just can't thank you guys enough for tuning in for the last little bit and having a conversation with me about last night's episode. I value your feedback. Enjoyed hearing what you took from the episode. James says, I still believe that since you got the number 9 and the word nail on the obelisk, that Tiffany should have played some 9-inch nails last night on the guitar. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that you say that because it reminds me, my dad was always a big, he was always a big joker. He was a teacher. And so he would always say some really funny things to his class. He taught high school and he taught chemistry and physics. And so I can remember in the 90s when I was in high school, I loved 9-inch nails. I was kind of gothic a little bit. And so I had several 9-inch nail shirts. And so I remember wearing one of my 9. I was into the 9 Inch Nails shirts, and then like the big, huge baggy jean co pants at the time, and the airwalks and stuff in the 90s. Now, so I can remember being in class and one of the students asking my dad what kind of music he listened to. And he said in the middle of class, he was like, "Oh, 9 Inch Nails. I listen to 9 Inch Nails." And it's just because of my shirt, and because I really liked them. And so he would joke about that. So that's funny you say that. It would have been funny to have and it did say 9 and nail pretty close. So it would have been funny if Tiffany had broke out into some closer or head like a hole last night to see if that would trigger any activity. But yeah, that comment actually makes me think of that because he would always say something like that. I think I remember him saying telling someone he listened to 9 Inch Nails in Cypress Hill or something like that. So, which couldn't have been any further from what he would listen to. But again, thank you guys so much for watching tonight. Definitely going to try to get some rest. We've got a great episode coming up next Tuesday night. We've got 2 more episodes left of this season, and that's going to lead us right up to Halloween. We may have some interesting things happen leading up to this. I know tomorrow night I'm going to have the opportunity to spend the next 2 nights at the Night House in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, owned by Eric Freeman Sims and Roger Sims. And so this location is a new location that people can investigate. And I think they've been open for about a year now. We've had them on the show as well. And so I'm going to get the opportunity to spend 2 nights there, sleep there. So I can't wait to see. I may take some cameras and see if I catch anything. Sometimes that's kind of hard. I know there's a couple other people that's going to be staying there as well, but I may try to go live if I can tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is the VIP meet and greet dinner, so I'm going to get to meet some of the people who are doing who have gotten VIP tickets to the event, and we've got the dinner there at the house tomorrow night. But I may try to go live and do a little walk through the house. Doubt I'd really get to do any investigation or anything, but we'll see what time it is and what Eric will allow on that. Yeah, so glad you guys enjoyed the investigation and the podcast. And Amanda says his sense of humor was hilarious and always caught you off guard. Yeah, because he he was very serious. And you never knew when he would be talking about certain things. You never knew if he was serious or not. So yeah, it was definitely funny. And I always love when I see people around the community that had him as a teacher, and they share some of the funny stories and funny things that he would do, because he really did have that dry sense of humor. So anyways, thank you guys so much. Possibly have some extra footage. So you may see me tomorrow night. We'll see. There will be some pictures popping up as we go throughout the weekend. We do have, and that is Goblin Con. That's up in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. You can buy tickets at the door. I think it's $10 at the door, and you can buy those. It runs from noon to 7 p.m. on Friday, and then 10 a.m. to I think 5 p.m. on Saturday. Lots of great things that are going to be going on there at the Bruce in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. So stay tuned for more information about that as we go throughout. Or you can just go to Goblin Con. Sorry, my hair is doing something really weird tonight. Goblin Con there on Facebook, and or key it into your Google search engine. They've got a great website set up, so you can find more information about that. Christy is going to be at the Ghost Mine, which is going to be on Saturday night, representing the jail and historic rugby after dark. and come on over to Stearns, Kentucky. She's going to have the jail open during the day, but come on over to Stearns, Kentucky, and ride the train into Stearns coal mining camp there at Blue Heron, and listen to some really cool ghost stories on the ghost mine train. And so that's going to be, I think, from like 5 until 8. And so if you just go on and search online, you can find that information as well. Plus, she still has some tickets available for a couple tours that are going on. I think there's a tour available on Thursday night at the Village of Historic Rugby, as well as I think it's almost a sold out tour on Friday night. And then we'll also have the jail and rugby open on Sunday night as well. So tickets available through the rest of the month are a little bit limited, but if you want to get your investigation or get tickets to one of our tours, you can do that on our website, which is historyhighwayshaunts.com. Or if you go and look up Historic Scott County Jail on Facebook or Historic Rugby After Dark, they're on Facebook. That will lead you to the website as well, and you can get tickets to our locations during spooky season. Even though it's year round, there's something special about doing it during spooky season. So anyways, on that note, I'm going to let you all go and get to a few things that I need to finish up tonight. And hope y'all have a great weekend. We'll see you next Tuesday night for episode 4 of season 8 here on Ghost Biker Explorations. Good night, everyone.